Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
And now part 2 of unscripted and authentic conversation.
So welcome to this episode of Touched and Empowered. We are just Ace and I today. It has been a whirlwind over the last few months of interviews and crazy schedules and traveling, and I don't even know where to go from that other than I need a nap.
Yeah, Katie, it's been like, all right. So funny enough, ladies and gentlemen, I remember when we started creating this podcast and the way that it was so beautifully just sewn together from different parts of the universe. Like I didn't even have the title yet, but Katie did. I had the structure, I had the interviewees, all of that stuff. There were parts that I just couldn't think about, but Katie already had it, which was really interesting. And then we sewed the pieces together and now we're here and we've had how many interviewees?
Oh my goodness, I'd actually have to go back and count, but a dozen maybe?
Yeah,
between who we have interviewed and who is coming up. I think we've had about a dozen, so we have about a dozen on the list.
Yeah, and then being able to just record, I forgot how efficient Katie and I really can be. Yeah, I appreciate it so much because I know other teams aren't this efficient. And I have to share that. Like the fact that both of us can pick up where one of us leaves off, we can like read each other's minds at times, which is really fun.
Which is very scary sometimes too.
Yeah, as the helicopters fly by. It is really, really fascinating. Just like how in sync and synchronistic we are. And it's like literally a match made in heaven. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, darling. I appreciate you too. But then that goes into my second part. When we overdo it, we need to take breaks.
Yeah, overdoing it. Have we overdone it? Okay. I know we've really like freaking just kept going at one point. We're just like, wow.
Oh my gosh. I think we actually went like 5 months nonstop recording every single week, multiple times, because sometimes we had multiple interviews on any given week, plus the times that we were getting together and doing our just you and me chats. So yeah, it was a little bit crazy there for a while.
Yeah, I think it was. We also didn't expect it. I feel like there was a day where I was like, "Hey, so one of our colleagues, they're ready to send us people who want to be interviewed on a podcast," and then we just got this not just river, we got like this flood.
Oh my God, I think we had like 8 people sign up to be interviewed on that one day.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, okay, great, awesome. And now they're all like #1 bestseller authors, by the way, international bestselling authors.
Because the book's out.
The book is out. And it was, I just think it's like, it's so beautiful, just the progress of what we've been doing. And thank you, Nicole, also for being such an incredible person with us. We always shout out Nicole as we can. Let's talk about how we went essentially balls to the walls. And because look, when I think about it, I was like, wow, we really put in a lot of, we put a lot of energy and work for the launch of this podcast. And to be fair, it's just amazing how we basically took off all of this month, except for this very date, to not pre-record because we could.
We could, because we have, for lack of a better term, we had a backlog of recordings because we did invest so much time, so much energy getting the content or topics out of our heads and recorded. So then that way we could share them with people because we were just so inspired to do so. And it's not that we became uninspired, it's that we actually needed to take a break because of so many things that were going on in your world, so many things going on in my world with traveling and with family and with drama. And we're just going to leave it at that. But the beauty of it is that we can pick up right where we left off because we've invested in this. And whether or not we get paid, so to speak, with time, talent, treasure, new contacts, whatever, whether we get paid next week, next month, or even next year, I know that what we're doing now is going to eventually pay off.
And by the way, thank you everyone who's done a donation. I'm so
Yes.
grateful, like, for the fact that we even have a monthly donation, people just monthly donating to this cause. And I really, it means a lot to us. So feel free to keep appreciating us with donations.
And for clarifying, the donations go straight to the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. They go straight into that bank account for the nonprofit. I don't see a penny of it. Ace doesn't see a penny of it. It all goes straight to them. So it's very much appreciated for everyone who has done a one-time donation to people who are doing the monthly subscriptions, because every penny helps, because it's helping us get the content to people who want to help their communities and help have honest conversations and just need a way to get started.
100%. And to be, the fun things that are amazing with Katie and this team and how we're expanding. By the way, your mom shouted me out on a networking call that I didn't know we were both going to be on. And she said,
awesome.
Right? She actually said, thank you very much for all that I've done with the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, she's giving all the credit to you, not giving credit to me, but that's okay.
Well, if she does, then I'm giving her right back, because I wouldn't be able to do this without Katie. In regards to that, understanding and self-care, there are moments when you have to take a step back and actually appreciate yourself for the work well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's not just appreciating yourself as the person, but appreciating for what you have in your world. Because guess what? It wouldn't be in your world if you didn't do something to get it.
Exactly. For instance, we did a lot of work. It's been amazing. Funny enough, we wanted to. That's the most beautiful thing. It was like the flow of it. It wasn't like, I'm begrudgingly doing this. I'm really tired. This sucks. No, it was literally, I really need to get on this podcast because there's so much I have to say.
It was, I've been hit by this inspiration, or let me tell you about this conversation, but you might as well hit record so we can get it all out and saved and go whatever, do whatever with it. But it really is the caliber of people that have come into our worlds since we've started this, since we've started to share what is important to us as individuals and the positive message that we're trying to get out to everyone. More people are coming towards us saying, hey, I want to help.
Yeah. And that's been such a beautiful, beautiful gift. And we're really grateful for that.
And even with the getting on the phone call and being like, okay, what are we going to talk about today? No clue. Let's just hit record. There's always something that inspires us.
Yeah. Like self-care and back pain. Let's talk about it, shall we? I know that we got into the lovey-dovey wonderful things. Now, it is true and it is real. Now let's talk about the other real.
Let's get into the grittiness of this, because there's a positive side, there's negative, there's two sides to every coin, right? So the benefit of this is that we're bringing awareness to self-care, because heaven knows I've done 14-hour days sitting at my computer, working the whole time, not getting up except for mandatory bio breaks. That's not healthy either. So we're going to cover self-care all the way around.
Yes, we are. I have an anecdote for us, because this is something that Katie and I have been talking about. And like, I honestly didn't know. All right. So fun facts for self-care. If you have a high pain tolerance, that doesn't always mean you know self-care that well.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I have a high pain tolerance, lots of broken bones when I was a kid, just from doing normal kid stupid stuff. And, never really thought that, I should be 100% pain free.
Yeah, I was a cheerleader. I played lacrosse. The contact sports that are super, I was a martial artist. Like those like super contact sports where they're like, oh, you're in pain, get back up, keep going. Like that was the
right? Get up, brush it off, You're fine. Just a little dirt.
You know, I've gotten to the age where that doesn't fly anymore. One, two, I've gotten to the point where it's like, if something is broken, you got to fix it before you can keep performing.
Yes.
And I mean, you can keep performing all you want. So get this. Here's the anecdote, everybody. So I went to the for the very first time.
Chiropractor. Okay.
First time. Katie had to nudge me. Like,
You
hey,
asked me to.
I did. Had to because I asked her to. She and I don't normally nudge people for this, but I was like, I really was putting it off. I think I was just like scared of going to a doctor, as most people my age are.
Well, the part of it also has to do with the fact that you've never been to a chiropractor. In that conversation, you had never expressed being in this kind of physical pain without emotional garbage attached to it. But you had already done the emotional healing. You told me you did like a full Reiki session and she found stuff and it got all cleared out and everything else like that. But there was still the physical component.
I did like a whole like emotional.
Okay, so you did a whole multiple modalities, cleansing of the energy, cleansing of the chi, the spirit, and all emotions and all of that. But there was still something painful going on in your body, which meant that there was something physical, which is why we nudged. You had made a comment about going to the chiropractor instead of a regular doctor, which is why I nudged you to if you had done so.
Thank you. I have 4 thoughts on that. One, I was trying to like just wait. Let me just hold it. One, ladies and gentlemen, that modality, that program that I created myself to heal my emotional health, that is still available to other people. And I've had a few clients already take me up on that offer. It's 6 weeks with me. And for the beautiful price of 5,555, which means you're going to heal, you're going to change. And that is why I look brighter and more beautiful than I did very beginning of this podcast. 2, yeah, the emotional stuff. It's funny because like when you're in a lot of pain and you've been in a lot of pain for a long time, you don't realize you are. And sometimes you cling to it, right? And because this is my first time ever going to a chiropractor, which by the way, this is the fourth point, fourth point, one of those. I heard it from 5 people who don't know each other to go to a chiropractor before I did. That's how I knew the universe was like, Joe, go,
Yeah.
stop holding it off. I didn't realize that I sprained my back almost 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it healed over. My ligaments and everything healed over. And I was in pain for like 2 years and I didn't really realize it. I was just like, whatever, feel pain, get back up, keep going. That is not the way you should be doing it ever anymore.
You should not be in a constant state of ache.
Exactly. It got to the point when I got to the chiropractor and we were doing the pain assessment. And I was like, it was really assessing like, where is the pain? I was able to tell them where the pain was. What 1 to 10, how painful in each area? And I was like, 4, 6, 8. Like, so whenever I think 9 or 10, that means emergency room. But I was 8. And then fun part was like, okay, do you feel it sometimes, all the time, or just or almost not, like very
rarely,
right? And I was like, constantly. So for 2 years, the pain just kept growing. And, Katie and I would be on these podcasts. We would be expressing something. We'd be talking. And then as soon as we cut, I'd be like, my back. Oh, I don't know what this is. It hurts. What is it? Then we go to the chiropractor, which, by the way, was traumatizing.
If you have no idea what to expect, I can understand why that could be traumatizing, because I remember my first time going to a chiropractor and it freaked me out.
I texted my mother. She's like, how are you? I never just call my mother, ladies and gentlemen. It's like, I don't know. I'm like really going through it. I called my mother right after the chiropractor. And I was like, that was scary. You do this on a weekly basis? What the heck?
Oh, your mom goes on a
I was like, what? Because the videos, and it was funny because like I really thought the videos were a joke. Like they really, when you watch them on YouTube or something about a chiropractor cracking your back or whatnot,
Yep.
they boost the volume, and I thought it was funny. No, that's real.
Well, part of it, from experience, I can say this, part of it is the tables that they use are meant to collapse and the tables make noises. However, it doesn't, that noise doesn't always cover up the sounds that our bodies make when we get back into full alignment.
Hey, my table was sturdy and stable. I just heard the cracking, and it was.
Oh, you didn't use, they didn't use the collapsing table for you.
No, they didn't use the collapsing
Oh, no wonder you're so freaked out.
I was so terrified. So, all right. So, mind you, right? I go into the table, and they take my blood pressure. Lovely. They tell me that my blood pressure is the same blood pressure as an athlete, which I'm like,
Awesome.
yeah, makes sense. Cool. Get into the table, and the guy's like, wow, you've never come across a chiropractor before? I'm like, no. As he's going through my pain assessment, oh, okay, well, let's see what's going on. Lays me on the non-collapsible table.
Sorry. No, not sorry. This is hysterical.
Tells me, thank you. Tells me to hold on to the bars underneath the bars, like as if like I'm gonna hold on for dear life. I hold on to this thing, and he just like starts with the hips because that's where all the pain is, and he goes, oh, this is like severe misalignment. Your right hip is 1 inch above your left hip. That's like that's huge.
Ooh, that is
Yeah.
significant.
It was really significant. And I thought I just had sciatica. Okay. Well. So he's like, okay, well, we'll get to that one in a second. Let's see what else is going on. And then he goes up a little bit, then gets up to like around here, around my back area.
Like between your shoulder blades.
And my neck has always been tight my entire life. That's why even in like cheerleading, like doing back handsprings was really hard for me. And he was just like, well, that's linked to this. These are a little, these right here behind, within the shoulder blades, these right here, they're misaligned. Okay, take a deep breath.
Deep breath in.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And he's just talking because he's a pro. This guy,
Right.
I was referred to this guy by a friend of mine, and he was an excellent chiropractor. And he just like, he's like, okay, well, and very gentle, very sweet, older guy. Yeah, okay. So right here, and and I'm like, ah! Internally, not screaming out loud, going, oh, the videos weren't a joke. They were. This is
Did it do just the single crack or did it do like the popcorn effect?
the popcorn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was like the bubble wrap, like right away. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, mind you, before I knew it, that was the easiest crack.
Well, that's good that the easiest crack was the first crack.
That was the first crack. And it was just so hilariously delightful. This is self-care, ladies and gentlemen. 2 years I was feeling this pain and I didn't really think about it. I was just like, keep going.
Yep.
Now that I don't really feel, I do feel it a little bit because this is the next day, and apparently this is where you feel it the most.
Well, yeah, because your muscles are used to being in a certain position and they're not in that position anymore because you're now properly aligned. So yeah, you're going to feel a little achy, sore, and tender.
And inflammation, and especially with your hips. But that was the first crack. The second was like, okay, let's look at your neck. Oh, okay, it's not that bad. It looks okay. There's a little bit of tightness. No warning. And it was perfectly done, no pain. I'm sitting there like, huh. Like that was my facial response. And like,
I like how it's like kind of glazed over a little bit. Like that sounded like that really should have hurt, but it didn't hurt. So I'm not sure exactly what to do now.
yeah, it's like when a kid falls down for the first time and everyone gets nervous for them, but they don't know whether to cry or not. Like that's where I was at. And like, and I'm laying there like, huh. okay, wow. And he's still talking gently. He's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you haven't gone to a chiropractor before. This is, this is okay. Well, yeah. Okay, could you sit up for me? I'm like, just very kind and gently as I'm like trying to still process what the heck is going on. And he puts like the pillow next to me, and now we're gonna do the hips. All right.
Yeah, the hips are, if no one's ever had their hips done before, that is a completely unique experience, completely different than getting your neck or your back done.
Oh my goodness, Katie. And like my hips were really misaligned. And he was telling me that, like, you know how you're sitting like a house sometimes, right? This is you,
Right?
right? So if your hips are misaligned, this is feeling really funky. So
Yeah,
sitting,
it's having the one side of the foundation is sinking.
yeah. So that, and like this is going on for 2 years, and I didn't expect it to be this pain, like, because the pain accumulated over time, the inflammation
Right.
accumulated over time, sleeping over time. Like I didn't really recognize it. And then as it did this, he cracked it back into place. And this was the one where I was like, oh my, like the pain was maybe 20, like maybe a millisecond.
Yeah.
A
It's
mill,
normally really sharp and then it's gone.
right? But I
Like
didn't
a
even
blink
feel
of an eye.
right. I didn't even feel the sharpness. I think it was because
Oh.
I was distracted by the cracking. Because just all right, let's do the other one. Like this is so calm and gentle. And I'm like, okay, sure, I believe in you. It's
Well,
happening.
the beauty of it is that the fact that fantastic that he kept everything calm and gentle and everything, because if you get tense, if you get nervous and your muscles tighten up, they can't align you and can actually end up hurting you. So the fact that he kept that nice calm persona all the way through and let you be comfortable and feel that sense of trust is amazing, because I did go to a chiropractor once and they did not do that, and I went to a different chiropractor because they had to fix me after the first one.
Yeah, this guy was miraculous. If I have his
Yeah.
next, I'll bring out his business card. He was freaking amazing. He calmed the entire time. I'm sitting there explaining to him, like, because the fact that he was shocked, he was like, it makes sense. You haven't been aligned in a long time, but like, you haven't gone to a chiropractor before. Mainly because I didn't look like I was scared. That all came after. I didn't know what was going on, to be honest.
Yeah, if you don't know what's going on.
Yep. And he like cracked everything in this self-care mode. And I'm sitting there like, because I was in so much pain prior to, ladies and gentlemen. I kid you
Mm-hmm.
not. I was telling Katie, I was like, I've never been in this much pain before. And we go, and I finally just go, like, just swallow my pride, go. And as he's like, cracking me back into place, I'm sitting there and I'm going, yeah, when you have a high pain tolerance, that doesn't mean you're really good at self care because you don't know when you need it.
Right.
Right.
That is so true.
Yeah, and that was the problem for me. Like I didn't know that I needed it, and now that I know, and when it's scary when you don't know.
Right. But the thing is that there's so many things in our world that we are not aware of. And it isn't until we have awareness that it's like, oh, this is not normal. Let's do something to fix it.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit of pain. I woke up this morning, and the guy that I've been seeing was just like, I was like, I'm in so much pain, and he like looked at me and went, the entire time I was like, I was twisting and turning in my sleep, trying so hard, and it was like there's a cute little Instagram video that I'll share with everyone. This is what happened. Like it's like these two like adorable animals trying to like cuddle, and this one waking up and going back to sleep. He's very good at that. He just like he wakes up, goes back to sleep in 10 seconds, and I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Thank goodness, because I was doing like the entire time.
Oh, you were doing that. Let me shift this way. Let me shift this way. Let me shift this way. Let me shift. Let's move just a millimeter. Let's try moving just the pinky finger. Maybe I could fall asleep now.
Yeah, exactly. That was the entire time. I'm like, and like honestly, knowing that this is part of self-care, as terrifying as it was,
Yeah.
I really needed it. When I think about the performance level of just like, all right, so I have a motorcycle license, ladies and gentlemen. And the one thing they teach you as a motorcyclist, safety, 100% safety, regardless of what
Yes.
people think, even if you think it's like a like a it's like a it's a rocket between your legs. I get that, but that's not what a motorcycle really is. And if you really want to do it, you have to take it seriously. So when I took the class, they mentioned to me, you are in a high speed position. There are many risks when you get on it. So anything that could possibly distract you from being safe needs to go.
Makes perfect sense.
Thank you. So when you're operating at a high level as well in any business position, in any career position, in any elected office, anything that could possibly distract you from optimum performance needs to go, right?
Bye-bye social media. Sorry. No,
Maybe
I'm
not.
not sorry. That was funny.
It was funny. I mean, everything in moderation.
But no, but it makes sense. It means that you do things like you silence your cell phone. You don't have it in your pocket. You put it like in the pouch or something on the motorcycle. So then that way when it vibrates, it doesn't distract you while you're traveling down the road. You're not listening to headphones or music or anything else like that because you need to hear the traffic around you. So
Yeah.
it makes sense to minimize those distractions.
Yes. And two things. If you don't feel well, you don't get on that motorcycle.
That makes sense. I've heard it like if you're angry, don't get behind the wheel of a car.
Yep. If
So
you
that
drink,
makes sense.
yeah, motorcyclists, like real motorcyclists, like it's an entire different lifestyle. You get on there, you have to be healthy. So you see, healthy.
Thank you for announcing that.
Thank you. You feed yourself correctly. You make sure that you take care of your body because the thing is you have to be 360 aware when you're on that bike. And once you're on it, right? Anything like you have to like feed yourself the right foods, drinks. You have to make sure you're not in like a body cast or anything like that before you get on the bike, God forbid. Like you have to be very healthy. So I haven't been able to get on a bike because I knew I've been in pain for like 2 years.
Ah.
Right.
So when is the bike coming out? I see this really big grin and the horns coming up like you don't know, but it's coming soon.
It'll come when I feel like I'm at optimal health. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Right.
I'm not gonna get on a bike until I feel like I've been hydrating correctly, like I've gotten that into a rhythm. I'm eating very well. That way I don't like feel like I lose energy on the bike. Like
Well, the mischievous grin as to "ooh, it's coming soon" is just the point. It's just what I want to point out for you because I have a feeling that you're like, I won't be able to do this. I won't because I'm constantly in pain. I won't be able to do this. But now you're seeing, I can.
very soon, yes. Of course, like that also means not drinking as much, which I'm totally cool to do. If I need to, if I can just ride a motorcycle and not drink at night, I'll do it. Like
Yeah.
there's a beautiful feeling. All right, I don't know if anyone's ever done this. Also, if you have ADHD, like when you get on something that satisfies your 360 awareness, you can focus. It is the most fascinating thing when you have ADHD. So when I got on this bike, I was like, and the wind was blowing, I could actually enjoy my life while I was riding. But yeah,
I just got a very interesting image of how many people are going to be going to arcades and getting on the video games where you're riding a motorcycle and having their laptop on the handlebars so then that way they can focus on their work while they're riding this video game. Because I mean, you don't sure as heck don't want to do that with a real motorcycle, but if you're doing it on a video game, you're safe. I mean, you're only going to fall like what the 2 feet it is if you lean too far off to the side.
exactly. It'll still hold you in place like a
It'll
saddle.
still kind of hold you in place. So that shows you where Katie's brain just went. So
Actually, there's a fun tangent. I know somebody to focus in the back of in his backyard. He has like a shed that when you open the shed, it's like an airplane seating arrangement so that you can focus and do work.
hey, whatever works. It's like how you rearrange your office, for example. My office, for example, my desk is in the middle of the room. So then that way I can see the door to my office.
Yeah.
Because if my back is to that door, any sound I heard, I assumed someone needed my attention.
Right.
And it would interrupt my thought process. Versus now I can do a half a glance and just keep right on working when I hear something and not have to worry about it interrupting the flow of information. But that's the same thing with self-care, because if you have those distractions of pain or yawning or dozing off at your desk, you're not going to be able to get anything done. And what you do get done, you go back and look at it and you're like, that needs to be redone. And then you're usually arguing with yourself about why you didn't do it correctly the first time. And we don't need to go down that path either.
Exactly. So when it comes down to your self-care, it's like that's the most important part, because then you're not going to be distracted when you need to do something. Like if you're able to, like, hey, for instance, I am so much more present right now because my back isn't dying on me. My hips aren't killing me too much just because it's the second day. By the way, I'm going back on Sunday. Courage.
Okay, good.
And then additionally, like a couple days, like I was having such a hard time dancing and actually doing physical things because everything was painful. I could longboard, sure, but even that, there were days where I was a little bit nervous to get on the longboard, and that bothers me a little bit.
Yeah, when it starts to impede on your everyday activities that you do for fun, but more importantly, when it starts to impede on your everyday living activities, for example, going up and down the stairs, getting in and out of a chair, then it's definitely time, in my opinion anyways, which I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on this, but it's time to look at options on how to better take care of yourself, because the body is not designed to physically be in pain.
At least it's not supposed to be. It's definitely like, hey, alert, 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 you're in pain. Something needs to be checked out. That's what the pain really means.
Right. It's a warning system. It's not a every day should be this way kind of thing. Right. And I know that there are some conditions out there that are chronic where people are constantly in pain. I have family members who have medical issues where they are constantly in pain, and it's very difficult to live that way.
Oh yeah.
So if that's not a normal state thing for you, and this is something new that comes in and you're like, oh, I've been feeling really achy for the past 2 weeks between my shoulder blades, for example, what do I need to do to make that go away? It could just be being aware and sitting up straighter. You might not need to actually go to a doctor, but if it's persistent, go get checked out.
Yeah, see, it was funny because you can fall into the trap of like, oh, it feels better tomorrow, or it feels better than yesterday. And I was falling into that trap, by the way. I really was. I was like, it was better than yesterday. But then I actually remember telling you, and I remember telling somebody else that I'm going to go see a chiropractor.
Right.
Right. And the moment I was like, oh, it was better than yesterday, person one texted me, are you going to go see a chiropractor? And I'm like, then you texted me and I was like, okay. I'm gonna go do it because I said I would. I have to.
The universe, if we are open to it, the universe will provide us with the reminders and the nudges to get us on the right path.
Yeah,
but you have to be open to it.
100%. And sometimes like those mini things that like aggravate you, the tiny annoying things, they all stop actually when you do what you need to do. Like I remember I went to somebody recently and I was just like, just encouraging them to kind of keep going with their lives. And I remember sitting with them for a second. Their freaking fire alarm was beeping. We didn't know why. There was a fly in the room just flying around and probably would drive me nuts before going to sleep. And then there was something else that my phone kept going off while I was there, which I was like, when it's on silent mode, it's on silent mode. Like nobody can really get to me except for like said person that I talked about before, or I shut off my phone. I had to shut off my phone and just sit there and look at this person's environment and think, what in the world are we ignoring?
And exactly what it was. What were you ignoring?
Yeah.
And then it was the aha, because I remember having a conversation that day when you were telling me about all of these little annoyances that were coming up. And we had talked about it for a little bit. And it's like, you're on a journey, you're not on it, you've completed a journey. Everything was kind of like yes and no, because we weren't addressing what the issue was.
Right.
The issue was the pain. It wasn't necessarily why are all these outside things affecting me so much. It was, let's look a little bit deeper. We just didn't get there until after you made the comment about the chiropractor.
Exactly. That's self-care. Like the universe will do those little annoying nudges for you to look at something, to literally look at something, just to kind of stop you for a second to fix it before you keep going. Otherwise, the train will keep going and then you lose a wheel. Like it's not,
Yes.
you don't want that to happen in your life. That's why self-care is there. Ladies and gentlemen, self-care is not selfish.
No, it isn't. Because it's not selfish to take time to take care of yourself. So then that way you are available to help others.
Exactly. That broken wheel. If you have that broken wheel, people are going to feel bad calling upon you to like help them. One, two, you could actually be more of a liability.
So it really is listening to your heart, listening to your divine guidance, whichever system that might be, listening to your physical body, because we are here on the physical plane, and taking time, even if you don't feel like you need it, take the time for yourself.
It's so important. It really is. That was actually my biggest lesson in my 20s.
Was taking the time for yourself?
Because I was such a workaholic. Like I really just wanted to get things moving. I wanted things to finish. And then there were points where like I couldn't be there for people when they needed me because I was focused too much on doing things and getting things done that I forgot about the wheels that fell off.
Oh yeah, because I've only lost one. I've still got 10 more to go.
Yeah. I don't want to get to the point where you only got 9. Like you still want all 10 working.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to drive a car with a flat tire for a little bit, but you're not going to get very far that way.
Yeah, it's like how you have to maintain your car. You have to maintain you.
Yeah.
It's funny, when people don't maintain their cars. And I've done this too. Like this is why I'm like sharing that. Like when you don't do the oil change, when you don't do the what do you call it? When you don't do the tire rotations, when you don't
When you don't do the general maintenance on a vehicle.
Yeah, what happens to the car? And then Matt, think about this. The way that you take care of one thing kind of reflects how you're taking care of other things in your life.
Ooh, the synchronicities.
Yeah.
I actually believed for the longest time that the only place I could keep clean was my car because that was the only environment that I had full control over. What I didn't realize was that because of that, I was letting everything else fall away and focusing just on the car. And then I was like, oh crap, now my car is all dirty and everything else is dirty. So yeah, no, don't do that.
Sometimes you also have to learn also balancing that. Like I did the same thing. My workspace was the cleanest place whenever I used to work at a corporate gig.
Oh yeah, it is. If I was at someone, I can clean someone else's house, but I have a hard time cleaning my own.
Well, it was funny because I knew how to clean that space, but I didn't when I came home. That was not the same situation. I would come home and like unless I had a day or two off to allow myself to flow into my own home and clean it.
Yeah.
What I do.
It's one of those things that it's amazing what we think is okay to put on the back burner. Whether it be the self-care, whether it be cleaning the car or doing the general maintenance on a vehicle, whether it be cleaning the office or waiting another day until doing the dishes in the kitchen. There's so many things that we're like, okay, it can just wait. When in actuality, it's worse. when we wait instead of taking care of it immediately, whether it be the self-care, whether it be cleaning our space, whether it be doing the dishes. It's one of those things that we just have to realize that procrastination comes in so many forms. And procrastination is it just is. And it looks like that Ace has frozen on me. Then I am going to wrap up this episode. Take time for you. Take time to take care of the little things that are bothering you or annoying you before they turn into big things that bother and annoy you. So on that note, lots of love from us at Touched and Empowered, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.